I still remember the day I met Emily. It was at my best friend's wedding, and she was a bridesmaid. When our eyes met for the first time, I felt like I was being electrocuted. She had stunning hair, blue eyes, and curves that could stop any man. Looking at her, I knew she had to be mine, and a year later, Emily became my wife. Our wedding was expensive, with hundreds of guests and a five-tiered cake. The flowers were extravagant, the music was enchanting, and the wedding venue was decorated like a scene from a fairy tale. Putting the ring on her finger, I vowed to love and cherish her. I had no idea that our marriage would only last a few months. Everything seemed perfect at first. We had a beautiful home, a great relationship, but then things started to change. Emily started staying late at work more often, and when I asked her questions, she became evasive and secretive. I began to forget about the passion in bed. If there was any, it was very rare and not as much as it had been in the beginning when we were together. I put it down to the stress of her job. I tried to be understanding and supportive, telling myself that everyone goes through difficult phases, and this was just one of them. I even made more of an effort at home cooking dinner, surprising her with little gifts, trying to plan romantic evenings, but nothing seemed to help. There were moments when she would smile at me, and for a split second, I believed that things could go back to normal. But those moments were fleeting, and the distance between us only grew. But in the back of my mind, I knew something was wrong. The laughter that once filled our home had been replaced by an uncomfortable silence. One day I came home early from work to surprise my wife. I bought her favorite flowers and was going to take her out to dinner, hoping to rekindle the magic we had lost. But instead, I was shocked to find her in the arms of another man right in our bedroom. The betrayal came down on me like a ton of bricks. I froze in place as they frantically tried to cover themselves. "How could you?" I squeezed out, my voice shaking with anger and pain. Emily looked at me with fear in her eyes. "It's not what you think," she muttered, but it was. It was exactly what I was thinking. My wife, the woman I'd sworn to love for years, had cheated on me behind my back. The pain was so intense that it felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest. I remember every detail of that moment, how pale her face turned, how panicked the other man looked at her, how it felt like my whole world was crumbling around me. In the end, she left me for him. I was left alone, scarred by betrayal. The home that once seemed warm, loving, was now empty and cold, filled only with painful memories of what used to be. It took me months to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. I remember sleepless nights, lying in bed and staring at the ceiling, wondering why everything had gone wrong. I doubted everything, every decision, every word, every action. My friends tried to comfort me, telling me that I deserved better, that I would find love again, but it was hard to believe them when the pain was so acute. I went headlong into work, hoping that being busy would help me forget, but even then, the memories of Emily haunted me. The smell of her perfume, the song we danced to, the place we visited, everything reminded me of what I had lost. Even now, I still remember the day I first met Emily, the day I thought I had found my soulmate, my forever love. I didn't even realize it was all a lie. I often replay that moment in my head, wondering if there was something I'd missed, some sign that might have warned me of what was to come. But there wasn't. I loved her with everything I had, and in the end, it wasn't enough. But deep down, I know that I loved her with all my heart. I gave her everything I had to give, and she responded to that love with betrayal. It's funny how our lives work out sometimes. What we think should last forever ends up being what destroys us. I learned that love isn't always enough, that sometimes people change, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But that's just the way it is. All we can do is pick ourselves up and keep moving forward, because even in the hardest of times, there is always hope for a better tomorrow. As time went on, I began to heal. I found new hobbies, reconnected with old friends, and started paying attention to myself for the first time in years. I realized that I had lost myself in the marriage, that I had given so much of myself to Emily that I had forgotten who I was without her. Slowly, piece by piece, I began to rebuild my life. I may still carry scars from what happened, but they no longer define me. They are part of my story, but not the whole story. And as I look to the future, I hope that one day I will find love again, a love that is real and lasting, a love that will not betray me. Life is unpredictable, full of twists and turns that we can never predict. What I experienced with Emily was devastating, but it also taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and resilience. I learned that even when we are broken, we have the strength to put ourselves back together. Even though my heart was broken, it is slowly being rebuilt, and I know that one day I will be ready to love again. After all, even in the hardest of times, there is always hope for a better tomorrow.